Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us to learn about Microsoft's licensing changes with NCE. Today we'll go through a short presentation that will probably answer a lot of your questions, but then we'll have plenty of time at the end for you to get any additional questions answered. So we ask that you save time, or you save those until that portion of the event. To start, I'll introduce our presenters today. We have Jackie Wooler, Inside Sales Manager from Success Computer Consulting, as well as a couple of our experts over at Ingram Micro, Jeff DiCarlo and Nick Brooks. Success Computer Consulting is an MVP partner of Ingram Micro, so we've worked together for the last 20 years to bring best-in-class services and solutions to our customers. Most recently, Success has been recognized by Ingram for our excellence in communications and collaboration. So we're really happy to have the folks from Ingram here today to help give some guidance around the topic of NCE. With that, I will hand it over to Jackie to get us started.
Perfect. Hello. It's so fun to see some familiar names here and faces. So welcome. I know time is probably one of our most valuable resources, right? So I'm super appreciative that you guys are taking the time to join us today. So Vanessa mentioned this earlier, but we're going to talk about a super exciting topic, Microsoft licensing and the new commerce experience, right? So it should be super exciting. Basically, I'm just going to go through a quick PowerPoint and then we'll have time at the end for questions. So hopefully you guys can get all your questions answered in a more interactive way. So what I want to do is just share about what NCE is, what changes are happening, what are the benefits to having Success as your cloud service provider, what's the call to action for you with these changes that are happening. And then again, like I said, we'll go through some frequently asked questions and then be able to answer some additional questions from you all as well. So we will just go ahead and get into it. So what is the new commerce experience, or NCE? Essentially, NCE is the new platform for Microsoft for purchasing and managing licenses. The goal there is for consistent purchasing experience that ensures customers are subject to the same terms and conditions for cloud offerings they purchase, whether it's self-serve, so if you're getting your licenses directly from Microsoft, or a partner like Success. So what's changing? So Success is still a cloud solution provider. Essentially, we're just going to now transact licenses on the new platform, or NCE. This new platform is also a way for Microsoft to enforce the terms and conditions you select for your Microsoft licensing. So they're going to be more stern on those licenses. So if you sign up for 1-year commitment, you're going to be held to those licenses for that full year. So that's a pretty big change. We'll get more into that as we go into the presentation as well. Microsoft did increase the pricing on the 365 licenses. Some of you that have purchased licenses since March 1st of 2022 may have already seen that increase. The increases range anywhere from $1 to $5 per user per month, just depending on the licenses type that you're using. So NCE is going to offer 3 subscription options with the intention of reducing complexity and providing some cost savings over longer term commitments. So if we look at how it breaks down, so they do have monthly available, 12-month and 36-month. We're going to focus on the monthly and the 12-month subscription because that's really what we're dealing with. That 36-month subscription is really only available right now for Dynamics, so Microsoft Dynamic customers. Eventually, that will be available with the business and enterprise licenses. It's not at this time, so we'll share that as it becomes available. So essentially, we're really focused on either monthly or a 12-month commitment. So if we walk through the monthly subscription payment options, pretty self-explanatory, right? It's going to be monthly. So you'll pay for those licenses on a monthly. There is no annual commitment with that option. The cancellation or adjustment window with that is 7 days. So if you add new licensing, you have 7 days. Keep in mind, it's not business days, so it includes weekends. 7 days to remove the licensing for a full refund. And that gets into these seat changes, right? So if you want to decrease your licensing and it's after that 7-day window, then you're still going to be, if you signed up on a monthly subscription, you're responsible for the payment of that license for that month. And then it would fall off after that. So that's the difference there. But you can add licenses really anytime. The difference with the monthly is that you do pay more. So there's about a 20% increase in the cost of those licenses. And really that leads us into the benefits, right? It's because of that flexibility. It's giving you that flexibility to really add and change on a monthly basis, as opposed to having to keep those licenses for 1 year. So there's a little uptick in cost for having that flexibility. If you wanted to go with a 1-year subscription, it's pretty similar. The biggest change here is that there's a cost savings. We're going to an annual commitment, and you are price locking for those 12 months. So if the price changes during that commitment, your pricing will be honored when you locked in at the 1-year agreement. Again, with the 12-month, you can either pay monthly for those licenses, or you do have the option to prepay and pay for those licenses all up front for 1 year. There is no benefit in terms of cost for paying up front, but if you wanted to, that is an option. So you can go either way, whatever works right for your business. Cancellation window is the same. Essentially, you've got 7 days from the time you add a license to be able to remove that without penalty. Again, you can increase licenses during that commitment at any time. You cannot decrease. So after those 7 days, you are not able to remove those licenses. So that's the biggest difference here with this NCE platform is if you add licensing, you've got 7 days to remove it. If they're still in place after those 7 days, you are responsible for the payment of that license for the full term of the contract. There is a price break, however, if you do the 1 year. So you're going to pay the standard pricing where you're going to pay more on the monthly. And then the 36 months, we really don't need to worry about. So that's kind of the options for the monthly versus the 12-month. And we'll get more into that into the frequently asked questions too. So if you have questions on that, which some of you likely do, we can definitely get to those at the end. But benefits here for using Success as your CSP. We are a Microsoft Gold partner. So obviously we're committed to earning the highest level of customer care and collaborative relationship with Microsoft. So what that means is better support. So as a CSP for hundreds of businesses, we have access to more resources, channels of support to help handle those Microsoft related issues. And then you can leverage us as your licensing expert. Licensing is really hard. There's a lot of options, a lot of features, functionality. Let us be those experts for you that can help guide you in what the best licensing is going to be for the initiatives that you want to get done. So how are we going to guide our customers? So we are going to recommend that customers transition to the new NCE platform at the time their subscription end date or renewal is happening. So most of you are probably like, when is my end date or renewal happening? Really good question. And if you are a customer of Success and we are procuring your licenses through our CSP program, you will have contact, your account manager will reach out to you, communicate when those renewal dates are up, and work with you to determine the best time to make that change. If you are doing your licensing through Microsoft directly or with another CSP provider, you'll probably want to link up with them in terms of when those current subscription and end dates are happening. And if you need support, we can certainly help you with that as well. So just reach out again to your account manager and we can help facilitate that. We'll just need to either figure out moving forward if you want to procure those licenses through Success or continue with either Microsoft or the other CSP, and then we can help navigate those changes for you. Obviously, we're recommending either the monthly or the annual subscriptions as that's what's available currently at this time. So important dates, March 10th, 2022, that was when all new subscriptions had to be moved over to the NCE. So really that's just net new subscriptions. So if you were ordering new licensing that you hadn't used before, that was needed to be procured on the new NCE platform. So if you've done that since March 10th, we've likely helped you navigate through that to get those changes done appropriately. Really nothing to worry about there. If that's being done through Success, we'll help walk you through those changes and what needs to happen to get those ordered appropriately. July 11th, 2022. So this is a pretty important date that's coming up here. That's when renewals must be placed in the new NCE platform. So what that means is if your current subscription date is expiring prior to July 11th, you will have the opportunity to renew as is on the current legacy platform for 1 more year. But any subscriptions that are expiring July 11th or later will need to be moved to the NCE platform. And so that's where we can help navigate through that, determine when those end dates are, and kind of get a plan in place to move those forward the appropriate way. So that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. So then the end all date is really June 30th of 2023. And that's when that full transition to NCE needs to happen. So if you had subscriptions that were expiring prior to July 11th and you decided just to renew on the old legacy platform, when that subscription comes up for renewal the following year in 2023, that's when we'll be moving you to the NCE platform at that time. So the hope there, well, really by June 30th of 2023, all customers with Microsoft licensing, with 365 licensing, will be on that platform by that time. All right. So that brings us into our questions. So we figured there was a lot of questions that we get answered as we've been working with customers through this. So we wanted to share that with you all. One of the biggest questions we get asked is, can I increase or decrease my seat count midterm? Answer is yes, you can increase your seat count midterm, and the additional seats will co-term with the original subscription end date. However, you cannot decrease your seat count midterm. So you will have to wait until your subscription's term renewal to reduce the seat count. Now, the difference there, right, is depending on, oh, sorry, geez. Depending on whether you have, you know, a 1-year commitment or it's a monthly commitment, that's going to determine when those licenses, when you can remove those licenses. Any questions on that? I will pause for a minute. Feel like we're
questions.
Good. We got
no
it.
questions in the chat.
Perfect. So what if we want to change to a different license type? You can upgrade your 365 licensing on NCE, but you cannot downgrade your licensing on NCE. So in true Microsoft fashion, you can always pay them more money, but you can't pay them less money. That's not necessarily true, but so you can upgrade from, like, for example, you can upgrade from a business standard to a business premium, because that's, well, A, it's an increase in price, but it's also an increase in features and functionality of that licensing. So that you can do within your term. What you can't do is downgrade. So you can't go from a business premium to a business standard, because again, that's a downgrade in features and functionality, but also in cost. So you'd have to wait till the end of the term to make that type of change. So I think, was there a question, Taylor, in the chat? I thought maybe I saw something come through.
Yes, the question is, can you have a mix of monthly and yearly?
Yes, that's a really good question. And I think we actually do get to this, but I can answer that. So you can actually have a mix of monthly and annually. So really where that comes into play, I mean, what I think of as like an organization, if you've got, maybe you've got interns that come in the summer, they're only there for 3 months, so you don't necessarily want to pay for those licenses for the full year. You might say, okay, I've got 4 interns coming on. I'm just going to order those licenses on a monthly basis, because then I can add and remove at my leisure. But I might have 20 full-time employees that I wanted an annual subscription because I want to pay less for those licenses, and I know that I'll keep them for the entirety of the year. So yes, you do have those options. We can definitely work through those with you on what makes the most sense for your organization. So what if we want to change to a different, wait, we just did this one. Let's go to the next one. Can I purchase directly from Microsoft? If so, does that change anything? The answer is yes. You can certainly get those licenses directly through Microsoft. You are going to be subject to the same subscription options, terms, and conditions that you would be with any other CSP, whether it be Success or another provider. So the answer is yes. It's really the same information that you'll need to know. Can I have different terms for the same license? We answered this one already. So again, the answer is yes, you can mix and match. So you can have monthly and 12-month terms based on your needs. What about nonprofit or charity licensing? So currently, nonprofit or charity license is actually not available on the new NCE platform. Microsoft is going to make that change, but they haven't announced when yet. So as soon as we know that information, we can share that with you. So essentially, any nonprofits that are taking advantage of that nonprofit licensing via Microsoft will still be on that legacy platform. So no changes for you just yet. You can rest easy. Trevor, that's you. Just kidding. You can rest easy. You don't have to make any changes just yet, but we'll let you know when you do. Will the license auto renew at the end of the term? So currently, if you are procuring your licenses through Success, we are not going to have our agreements auto renew. And really the reason behind that is we want the account managers to have an opportunity to work with the organizations ahead of that renewal so that we can make sure we audit, make any adjustments to the licenses. We just don't want to have licenses auto renew and then we find out that we don't need them and it's past the 7-day window and then we can't remove them. So that's the biggest concern there. We prefer not to have that auto renew just so we have the opportunity to make changes if needed. But keep in mind, if you're getting your licenses directly through Microsoft or through another CSP provider, they may be set up as auto renew. So you just want to make sure that you're, choosing the right option when you're ordering those licenses, because you will have the option to either choose auto renew or non-auto renew. So just to keep that in mind. So what happens if I don't convert to NCE when my current subscription expires? So this again is when that July 11th date comes into play. So again, if your licenses expire prior to July 11th, you will have the opportunity to renew on the legacy platform, or we can get you moved over to the NCE platform. We would probably just want to have some discussions on what makes the most sense on what we want to do there. But after July 11th, we are required to move over to the NCE platform. So if we don't get licenses moved to that NCE platform when they come up for expiration, they will go into, well, they'll be suspended, which means there would be an interruption to service. So that's why it's so important to make sure we get ahead of these changes and do it at the right time so that we don't want interruption in service, right? That's our biggest goal here. So we want to make sure we do the right thing when we need to. So can we, as the customer, have access to add and remove licenses ourselves? So currently as a business, we are still reviewing the option through Success on whether we're going to provide access for customers to add and remove licenses themselves. If that's something that you are getting licenses through Success currently and you need that opportunity or you want that ability to add and remove licenses, I would say reach out to your account manager or myself. We can certainly work through those on a case-by-case basis at this time, determine what the need is and what we can do there to make that work for you. If you are sourcing directly from Microsoft, you would have access to add and remove as long as you're an administrator on the 365 account. If you're sourcing via another CSP that's not Success, you'll just want to check with them on what the options are to have access to add and remove yourself. That is what we had currently. So I'm hoping, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen to maybe make it a little bit more interactive. But I'm hoping maybe you all have some questions or things that we can help clarify with this change. It's possible I've bored everybody to sleep too, like very possible. I'm okay with that. No, I'm just kidding.
Feel free to come off mute or put your questions in the chat. Either way works. Oh, we have one in the chat. Does this include Exchange Online licenses?
So Exchange Online via 365, yes, it does affect that. Really any licenses that are done through 365, it does. So Chris, I'm sure, yes, it would affect those licenses as well as your business premium licenses that you have. Good question.
If licenses are set to auto-renew, will it automatically go to the new platform?
That's a really good question. And maybe Ingram folks can clarify this, but this is my understanding, is that it won't automatically go to the new platform. You need to order those licenses on the new platform in order for that to take place. So I don't know currently where you purchase your licenses from, if it's from Microsoft directly or if it's from Success. If it's from Success, again, our account managers will be reaching out to help you with that transition. If it's through Microsoft, again, we can still support and make sure that we get those adjusted. We would just need to figure out, the biggest thing is figuring out when your current subscriptions are up for renewal and then understanding what options we have, because really it's around that July 11th date again, in terms of if we need to do it now or we can just let it auto renew on the legacy, because that might be an option for you depending on when they expire currently, or if we're going to have to move to the new based on they expire after the 11th. Does that help, Samantha? Perfect. Thank you. So I would say in terms of like takeaways, the biggest item to confirm is really when that expiration date of your current subscriptions are. Unless you're on nonprofit licensing, then you really don't need to worry about it just yet. But if you are a for-profit and are getting licenses, then really the most important thing is to determine when that current subscription end date is, and then that will guide best next steps.
Any other questions? We'll be sending out a recording of this event in the next couple days here, so you'll be able to go back and rewatch if you want to. Otherwise, that's all we have for you today. Unless Jackie, if you have anything else to add.
I don't. The only, the benefit is we had 45 minutes on your calendar and now you get time back. So that's fun.
There you go.
That's always a win-win. So appreciate you guys taking the time to check in here. Feel free to reach out again to your account manager or myself directly if you have questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking here, and we can certainly help in any way that we can.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Trevor.
It's really good to see all of you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
you too.
it. Bye.
All right, have a great day,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.